The following is a segment from the Carl King Podcast. If you enjoy this show, be sure to like, subscribe, and send us burritos. This segment is called, What the Heck is Success? And it's taken from a blog I wrote in January 2021, and it goes like this. I had a chat with a filmmaker friend recently, and at some point he blurted out the phrase, "We're not successful." It was a funny, blunt thing to say, and it caught me off guard. And it's definitely not a statement I agree with. You could also say it's the opposite of an empowering NLP daily affirmation. But I think I knew what he meant, and it got me thinking that this is actually a tricky concept, and it's worth looking deeper. Here's the problem with the statement, "we're not successful." I think the success he was talking about is largely a myth. And I say myth in the Joseph Campbell, Yuval Noah Harari sense. Success is really a collective story, an agreed upon idea shared within our culture. And that also means it may or may not be objectively true. So here are the facts about my filmmaker friend and I, which are objectively true. 1, we've had no lasting commercial success with our original self-owned projects. In other words, we don't live off of our creations. And 2, we have no major film, TV, or music credits. Of course, he does have some TV hosting credits from decades ago, but they don't count for this conversation. And I also think it's crazy how much those things make such a difference in how people treat you. But I don't see how these things make me or my filmmaker friend unsuccessful. I don't think it's the right word to use. Still, having one or both of those visible signs of success is like having a membership card. Being able to say, "Look at me, I'm special. I'm in a band on such and such record label with a famous person." Or, "I'm the director of that movie you heard of starring a famous actress." It can definitely open some doors. Now, I wouldn't turn down having one of those membership cards, but I would also do everything in my power to avoid the typical delusions of grandeur. Now, the problem is this. Those visible signs of success can be mixed up in a package deal fallacy. We assume that that guy who does the thing must also have all this other stuff happening too. We assume it just all goes together. He has a mansion and never has to work again, right? I mean, what else is that dang membership card good for? Now, some of those people with the membership card take advantage of this thinking error to puff up their status and fool others. I knew a guy who brought along a fake guitar tech to carry his guitar at NAMM just to make it seem like he was a rock star. He kept referring to his guitar tech for some reason. Anyway, this sort of scheming is endless out here in Los Angeles, the imaginary city. I definitely engaged in that sort of trickery myself in the mid-2000s. It's hard not to fill in the blanks with our imaginations, and I think it's a good practice to define what we think the word successful means, because it's a generalization and I am skeptical of it. So let's examine the fine print on the membership card, which happens to be imaginary fine print. We will use a hypothetical TV show creator, writer, director named Brittany Tyler. Our fake famous person, Brittany Tyler, has a bunch of major credits. Let's assume she's made TV shows that anyone in the general public would know the names of. So here we go. Number 1 is net worth. We can't know Miss Tyler's net worth. If you're not aware, net worth is total assets minus liabilities. How much does she make? And more importantly, how much does she spend? That house and car she has might just be large amounts of debt. Is her mortgage paid off? What are the property taxes on that place? All right, well, maybe she made good financial decisions, saved her money, lived below her means, and invested. Or is she anxiously trying to sell a new TV show project so she can maintain that lifestyle? It's hard to tell. In contrast, your own next-door neighbor might be a multimillionaire that doesn't put it on display and might have even more money than famous TV director Brittany Tyler. My point is, it's impossible to know unless we can see all of her accounts. We can only assume she has, quote-unquote, made it, whatever that means. Now, wouldn't it be an interesting world if we all had our net worth on display floating above our heads? My guess is that a lot of illusions would go poof. And number 2, sustainability. Brittany Tyler had a project that is a commercial success, a hit TV show on a mainstream network some years ago. And that's great, but it does not necessarily lead to another. Most often, it won't. Maybe she's been trying to sell and make another TV show, but she's competing against the people who have had 2 or 5 hit TV shows, and on and on. Maybe so far she's spent 10 years pitching show ideas, and not a single one has actually been made. It can be a complicated process with lots of stops and starts. The people who decide which shows get made don't necessarily know what they're doing, or what will work, or what will flop. Maybe this week they have money to spend, maybe next week they don't. So although it can be done, the odds of sustaining a long career in the entertainment industry are not good. Add to that, through the magic of confirmation bias, we tend to notice those who somehow pull it off, and those who don't simply fall off of our radar. They disappear. And so we assume that Brittany Tyler has an infinite career of endless TV show deals waiting for her, and that is unlikely. And number 3, the in. Now stay with me on this one. How did Brittany Tyler get her start? How did she break into the business? Was it because she was the most prepared and qualified? Did she read every book, take every class, and consult every experienced person she could? Or was she another successful person's roommate in college? Or was she another rich kid who didn't know anything about making a TV show? These things happen because there's no direct career path, no form you fill out, no door you walk into. And if there is a door, it's blocked because so many people try to go in through it. Most likely, Brittany Tyler befriended the right person that gave her a chance at just the right time. I would bet she is extremely likable and good in meetings. And no, not because she's female, but because getting a TV show made is largely based on your ability to charm people and act like you know what you're talking about, even when you don't. And that's what pitching is, whether anyone wants to admit it or not. The breaking in stories out there are often so absurd and amount to nothing more than plain old luck. It's not a direct one-to-one reflection on her or anyone else's abilities, and you can't overestimate the role of chance in making and breaking everyone's careers. This is all to say, sometimes people who are seemingly successful aren't any more qualified than the rest of us. So consider that before you listen to their creative advice, especially in entertainment, where skills are so difficult to quantify and personal tastes are mistaken for techniques. And hey, let me repeat that because I think it's important. Personal tastes are mistaken for techniques, and I think it's best to keep those two things separate. I'll wrap this up with a quote from Daniel J. Boorstin, author of The Image. A sign of celebrity is that his name is often worth more than his services. Bottom line, don't evaluate your own life in comparison to Brittany Tyler's imaginary success. If you enjoyed this segment from the Carl King podcast, remember, you can also listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or through an old rubber hose.